Hey, what's going on everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the CLA Vocals plugin, and I have this and I also have the one for the guitars, and I really like them. They're very intuitive, they're very easy to use, and you can get a lot of different vibes all in one plugin. And I tend to use them a lot on the backing vocals, but I also use them on my lead vocals too. You can add delay and reverb right in the plugin. You can EQ it, you can compress it, you can add some stereo width to it. So we're going to jump right into Logic, and I'm going to show you my application of it on a song that I'm working on right now. Alright, so we are in Logic right now, and this song is pretty much done. I hate to beat a dead horse. I know I've done different parts of this song, but I do think that this is sort of an interesting part of the song, is the backing vocals and the harmonies. So I really like what the CLA Vocals plugin did for this particular section. So let's just solo these vocals out, and then we'll take the CLA Vocals plugin out, and then we'll add it back in and kind of tweak it to make it sound good. Alright, so this is the hook including the lead vocal and backing vocals just soloed out, and I'm going to take the CLA Vocals plugin out.
And oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
So if you hear that delay, that's actually coming from the lead vocal, so just forget about that. We are going to take that out right now, and then we're going to listen again to just the backing vocals.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
Okay, so now let's add the CLA Vocals plugin in.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
Okay, so to get that sound, these are the settings that I'm using. So I'm just going to run through the plugin left to right, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So we have over here, these first two are going to be your EQ section. So you have sub, lower, and upper, and these have to do with the lower frequencies, but they're just different frequency ranges of the lower end. And then you have the same thing with the higher end over here. And they're using sub, lower, and upper, which you can change by clicking these right here. And then over here you have bite, top, and roof. And when you get to roof, it's going to be like the really high top end, probably. I mean, I don't know exactly what the specifications are, but I'd imagine towards the right if you were to look at an EQ. So if I pull up this EQ right here, this is going to represent probably the roof. I'd imagine the top is somewhere around here, and then the bite is somewhere around there. So they just represent different frequency ranges. And if you go over to the compressor section, you have push, spank, and wall. And what that is doing is the further you go up, the more power you're going to hear with this compressing here. So spank is really going to push it hard and be aggressive, and wall is just going to make it a really powerful sounding thing. These are backing vocals, so I'm just using push. I don't want it to be too overwhelming since they're backing vocals. Now the reverb and delay, how these work together along with the spreader as well, I really like how these effects work in tandem with each other. So right here you have tight, which is going to be like a tight vocal. And then you have large and chamber, and you adjust all these, by the way, just by going up or down. So the more you go up, the more effect you're going to have in terms of the reverb, the delay, and the spreader over here. So I have it on a large reverb because I did want to fill up a lot of space. I don't want it to be tight because the vocal's already pretty tight. I'm trying to go for space with this particular one, so I'm using large. And over here I'm using a 1/8 note delay. You have a slap delay too. This is really cool to use on lead vocals in certain applications, and they really all are in different applications, but I tend to actually use on lead vocals. I won't use this, or maybe I'll use it a little bit for the effect, but a lot of times I use sends and I'll use a separate delay or reverb plugin. And a chamber for the reverb is really good to use also on lead vocals because it's going to give you a lot of space. It's going to be lush, but it's not going to fill up too much of the lower end frequencies and make it sound muddy. It's more of a bright sound as opposed to something like a hall, which I'd imagine Large is probably going for. But since I am trying to fill up space and I'm cutting a little bit over here, I'm not really too worried about that. Plus, I want to fill up that frequency range anyway. And over here, you have stereo, wide, and spreader, which just represent different widths. So I have it on spreader. I want them to be really wide. And I'm going to take these out, and then I'm going to show you what it sounds like with them.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
Now this is without anything.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So just that alone, an obvious difference. It's bringing everything up. It's bringing a lot more clarity to the vocals. And then when you add in the reverb,
oh, my heart,
and if you pause it, you can hear the little tail of the reverb.
oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
So I think that sounds really good right there. And then again, I was using an eighth note delay. I will accentuate or exaggerate, I should say, some of these other things like the slap, eighth, and quarter note. So let's go to slap.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart.
So the slap in this particular instance is really just filling up space. But I like how the eighth note sounded because it gave it a little bit of a delay and a tail, which I liked.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart.
And over here, I used the spreader, but let's go through these and actually change these.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So with the stereo one, when you really push this, it kind of sounds chorusy. Wide is not really breaking it up too much and making it sound chorusy, but it's just giving it width. And then spreader is making it like a spreader. It's sounding like its own sort of thing.
Oh, my heart.
It's almost a little more flangey than chorusy, and the stereo seems to be a little more chorusy, at least in this particular instance. Might be different on a lead vocal.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
Yeah, the spreader definitely sounds a little more like a flanger sort of sound when you really push it with all these vocals. So we're going to keep it in stereo to give it just a little bit of a chorusy vibe.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
So that's how I'm using it in this particular application. I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you didn't, really just go through the presets. They have a ton of different presets that are going to give you a bunch of different sounds. So just go to a preset and then tweak it if you don't get anything out of this video. So I hope you did, but if not, we'll see you in the next one, and hopefully you get something out of that. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Helps out a lot, and until next time, see you later.